Today we will be discussing why an attendee at Bernie Sanders' event was asked to leave.
Followed by two parents demanding that ride-sharing services like Uber and Lyft ensure better safety.
And finally, we're bringing you the latest local news, such as a controversy surrounding the local police department's new car design. All this and more starting now.
Hello and welcome to The Report, Cal State Fullerton's premier source for news, views, and info. I'm Ashley Anselin.
I'm Ryan Matthey, and introducing to the team, we have our very own Regina Urita.
Hello.
Welcome. How's it going? How's it been?
Good. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Sorry it took me so long. I was actually supposed to make it to the first show of this semester, but unfortunately I got into a car accident and it sidetracked me, and I just felt like it was time for me to take a small break. Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Well, right now I'm better. Basically, I just had I had back spasms and I had neck spasms, so it didn't feel right to even do so much of what I usually do. So my parents and also my professors were like, you need to take time off, you're doing too much. So I agreed, and now I'm at a better place.
You took the time, you're better now. We love you for it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you back.
Yeah.
And before we get started with our first hot topic, we'd like to invite you to be a part of the discussion this semester. Click on the link in the caption of any of our report episodes to fill out a secure Google form with your opinion on any controversial issue that we've talked about now or in the past, as many of these issues are recurring and evolving. We also have a Twitter account at The Report CSUF, so expect polls, questions, and news updates.
The American Federation of Teachers invited Bernie Sanders to speak at a high school in Ohio. Before the event began on Sunday, security approached 23-year-old journalist Kaitlin Bennett, who was sitting in the audience, and was asked to leave. Security explained it was a private event and it was an invitation needed to be there. Bennett refused to leave, and she claimed the event was advertised as public. She then went on to post videos of the incident online and said she was being discriminated against. Last year, Bennett made headlines after she shared graduation photos of herself, where she posed with an AR-10 rifle. Am I supposed to feel bad for this girl? Because I don't, like, at all whatsoever. I understand, like, you know, if you think it's a public event and you're a quote-unquote journalist, then yeah, like, it makes sense that you would be there. However, she has a very, like, shady past, I would say, in terms of just like what she has done in the past. Specifically, she currently is employed by Infowars.com, which is kind of like, it's a white supremacy kind of media outlet for her. And the Infowars.com, they've been banned from YouTube, from Apple, from Facebook for hate speech, and then also for targeting parents of children who died in the Sandy Hook accident that happened several years ago. So, of course, like, there is part of me who's like, okay, well, she just wanted to be there to report, but at the same time, she's not the one. She's not the one who would be reporting, I feel like, as well as journalists need to be.
Now, I have a very strong opinion on Kaitlin Bennett. I view her as a very far right, and she does consider herself a journalist, but she loves to insert herself into left propaganda and play games with people and then play the victim when people get upset with her. And I see that in a lot of the things that she does, and she'll go to far left, like organized events like Bernie Sanders, and she will report and then stir things up with people, and later will make this compilation and say, the left are so violent, they're so obnoxious, they love to hate me, Newsflash, Kaitlin Bennett, a lot of people hate you.
No, it's true. I think for me, it's just that the fact that she calls herself a journalist, and like you said, she works for Infowars, okay? And just the fact with that, like, don't call yourself a journalist and make this PR stunt all over social media. Also, I mean, you're not the only one who's gotten kicked out of a rally, okay? Just because you're a Trump supporter and Bernie Sanders was at a rally where they're supporting him, she all of a sudden turns tables and says, wow, I got kicked out of a rally. Well, come on, honey, you're not the first one getting kicked out of a rally. A lot of people have been kicked out of Donald Trump's rally, so.
Specifically, when Trump was doing his election campaign back in 2016, we had several incidences of African American people coming to these rallies and then being kicked out because they were voicing their kind of support and opinions about Black Lives Matter, and then security and then people of the event dragging them out, physically harming them because they didn't agree with what they had to say. So if y'all are okay with that, I don't see why you guys aren't okay with this, because it is literally the same exact thing.
Yes, and I would like to make it a complete point. I did watch the video that she put up on Twitter. She's very annoying, but I did watch it because it popped up on my timeline. But nobody physically harmed her. And the entire time, people were like, ma'am, we're just doing as we're told. You are not supposed to be here. Please do not be here. Please leave. Please leave. And they kept asking her to leave. And again, so that she could play the victim, she was like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? What? And like, you can ask what you're doing wrong, but if they're working, like they're just workers. They were not employed by Bernie Sanders at all. They were not a part of his team. And they kept saying, ma'am, we're only doing what we're told. We don't have answers for you.
Exactly. She wasn't there was nothing. They were just doing her job, and then they explained it that they were just doing her job. I feel like within that whole video, she was the one who was being very alarming and was causing the scene. And it's a rally, it's for Bernie Sanders. There wasn't a place for her to cause a scene. So the fact that, she's also complaining that it started before the event started.
Right.
It's better. Like, why would you want to cause a scene when the event was starting? Like that, it's not for you, okay? Like, stop making it about you when it was about Bernie Sanders.
Absolutely.
The United Kingdom's busiest roads and bridges were blocked on Monday morning after a British climate organization rallied through the streets. The organization Extinction Rebellion is demanding for the government to reduce carbon emissions and to devise a plan for action for climate and ecological change. The protests are expected to last for at least a week. Here is special correspondent Michael Holmes with more information.
They may not have been the massive crowds organisers predicted, but climate change protesters didn't need many to shut down major London thoroughfares on Monday. Here, a yacht brought in to block iconic Oxford Circus. Similar impacts at Marble Arch, Waterloo and Parliament Square. The aim, push governments to act more swiftly on climate change. All of this organised by the activist group Extinction Rebellion.
Governments aren't listening. Some of the measures that they put in place, which they use to suggest that they are responding, are totally inadequate. They commit us to extinction.
At the headquarters of Shell Oil in London, protesters superglued themselves to the front of the building. The glass revolving door smashed, although it's not certain how. At Oxford Circus, protesters superglued themselves to the yacht, pledging to stay for days if necessary.
Now, the group says actions like these might seem extreme, but are necessary to get the attention of governments around the world. And if the public is inconvenienced, well, so be it.
Police knew the protests were coming, rerouted traffic and kept watch. No sign yet of breaking up the protest and getting the cars flowing again. A festive atmosphere with a serious message and serious impact on central London. The protesters say they could be here for days. Whether police will be that patient, not at all certain.
I could not be more committed. There's nothing else that can be done right now. This is the most important thing on earth.
Michael Holmes, CNN, London.
A fire engulfed the Notre Dame Cathedral on Monday, causing major damages to the church. The cathedral is a monumental piece of architecture for the city of Paris. It has come to represent Christianity and holds cultural, religious, and historical meaning. The fire burned for hours, with firefighters working intensely to contain it, but were having troubles for hours. They were unable to save a large part of the church. The spear that stood at the head of the church was the first piece to collapse on top of the roof, followed by the roof itself.
Last month, University of South Carolina student Samantha Josephson was killed after getting into a stranger's car thinking it was her Uber. Her parents are now urging ride-sharing services to improve their safety measures. They are requesting for cars to have a QR code sticker so passengers confirm that they have the correct driver. The South Carolina House passed the Samantha L. Josephson Ride-Sharing Safety Act, which makes it easier to identify the cars affiliated with Uber and Lyft. I think this is great. I think this is a fantastic idea. Such an awful awful thing that did happen to her. And obviously our thoughts are out with the family. But if we're gonna, growing up specifically, I remember parents saying, do not get in a stranger's car. That's not a thing you should do. And now in 2019, they're like, go, any stranger's car. I insist, please, as long as they're paying them. And so, yeah, it's a little sketchy, the whole idea of a ride-sharing service, but it makes sense.
Exactly.
And if we're going to make sure that we keep this sort of experience safe, I think this QR code thing is fantastic, a great thing to implement.
Right. No, but here's the thing. What's the first thing that you should literally look out for when your Uber is coming? Like for me, what I automatically ask is, who are you here for? Yeah. I don't just go in and be like, oh, this is my Uber. I'm going to just walk in there, Obviously, I feel really sorry for the parents and especially for the tragedy that happened. But, you should know you do not just go into a stranger's car. Like you said, we've been taught this since like kindergarten. You don't just go in there. Even if we're talking about Uber or anything, like you need to take precautions and you need to know that you have to be sure that this is your actual Uber and that you're actually getting into the right car, not into some stranger, some lunatic,
Right. I'm glad you made that point because in my notes, I do talk about that. And both Uber and Lyft provide that the license plate and the type of car. Mm-hmm. And like we all said, we are very apologetic for the family and our prayers are with them. But there are steps that could have been taken to possibly prevent this issue. I think the QR codes are great. I think that's amazing. Just add another bit of safety. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's only going to help and contribute positively. But there are steps that could have been taken. I always ask all my Ubers, who are you here for? And if they don't say my name or if it's somebody else's, I'm going to go find my Uber. I look for my license plate of my Uber that is provided on both apps. I use Uber so I can see the license plate, the type of car, and I'm normally with people. Mm-hmm. I don't take Ubers by myself very often, and if I do, you do the fake phone call, or you do call somebody and you say, oh yeah, I just got in my Uber, I'll be home in a few, wait up for me, I'll be home, let's chat, that kind of stuff.
And that's the big point that you brought up, traveling or doing the ride-sharing service with other people. Obviously, some people depend on it to, go to work, go to a friend's house, that makes sense. But it's not going to be the safest thing, especially if you are getting into a stranger's car. Going by yourself probably is not the best thing to do. So like you said, bringing up talking to someone, making sure that this driver knows that somebody is expecting you, and if you are not there in the allotted time that you said that you would be there, something bad's going to happen, And so obviously this isn't Uber's fault for having bad drivers or anything, because this was not an Uber driver at all. Mm-hmm. It's more now on the people actually using the service to verify that they're traveling safely.
Of course, and I absolutely support this, especially just because we always want more security. More security is better for anyone. So if we're passing this, then obviously, if South Carolina is passing this, then of course, we're going to support it because we should probably have that too. We should always have some sort of precautions, especially if there's, Uber and Lyft. You've seen a lot of things happen, and so it hasn't been the first case. It's just that it's the first well-known case that has actually been
taken seriously.
Yeah, and that's the point of it, Right. So it is good. In other news, over the past few days, those involved in the college admission scam known as Operation Varsity Blues have made court appearances. Actress Lori Loughlin and 16 other parents have been indicted on an additional charge of money laundering. Actress Felicity Huffman and a dozen other parents have pled guilty. Loughlin and her fashion designer husband pled not guilty and have filed documents asking to waive the right to appear in court. Huffman issued a statement saying she is ashamed of her actions and apologized to her daughter and any other students who might have been denied a spot at USC.
In recent years, controversy between police departments and their city's residents have intensified across the nation due to the heightened visibility of police brutality. To add to that, there is new controversy surrounding the designs of the department's police vehicles in Laguna Beach. Some residents are finding the bold American flag design, quote, very aggressive and unrepresentative of the community that resides in Laguna Beach. Others have stated that when the cars share a collective space, they may resemble a SWAT team, which could confuse the general public. The City Council has reconsidered their decision towards finalizing the design after listening to criticism from residents and will decide on whether or not to change the design at today's council meeting. So, how do we feel about the police cars? You guys have seen the pictures of them. Do you think they look SWAT-like?
They
'Cause
don't.
I don't.
I don't know if y'all have seen what a SWAT car looks like. That's
Yeah.
not what a SWAT car looks like. SWAT
no.
cars are giant, they're armored, they're huge. I don't think there's like a lot
And
of
they
windows on
say
there.
SWAT on them.
It's a SWAT. Like, it doesn't say police in American, Microsoft Word, textile, whatever you want
In
to call
word
it. Word art. It's like, that's what it kind of looks like. So,
Exactly.
I mean, when I saw it for the first time, the whole American flag, writing out police, it did scream like America to me. Like, I saw
Yeah.
an eagle. Like, I had the whole American experience, right? But it's not the police's job to represent what Laguna Beach is calling like their artistic community. Like, it's not their job to make their cars aesthetically pleasing
Yes,
to you.
exactly.
So I mean, they're just gonna do what they need to do, and what they need to do is make their cars very identifiable as police cars. And so, I mean, if anything, we all know what like police cars look like, but I feel like the American flags kind of just like puts that cherry on the top, like, oh, yep, this is the police.
Yeah, and like not to be that guy, but are you really this concerned about a car design? Your job is to protect like the community, not worry about a police car design.
No, and if you've seen like there's videos on there where they've actually interviewed the people at Laguna Beach, and one of them wasn't even arguing about the lettering with the American flag. It was more that the car said police on it, and I'm like, well, what do you want it to say? You need a car. I mean, you need it to say police. Like, we get it, So they're just arguing because they want to argue, but really, there's no argument in it, Who cares if they made it, with an American flag? We are in America. We represent America. They represent America, and they're protecting America.
Right.
So what's the problem here?
I think specifically what these people might be upset, though, is there is such a long, complicated history that the general public has had with police, specifically with like police brutality and targeting certain minority groups. So obviously, on that standpoint, I can understand why people would be maybe like a little timid going into this, but at the same time, like you brought up, it's not a big deal. Like they're here to do their job. Whether or not they do it well is like a different topic of discussion. But like the car itself, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I'm on the same page.
Yeah,
I think it's a car. It's just a car.
It is just a car.
If they want to spend money for Microsoft Word art, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're still going to be a police officer driving the dang car. Like,
It's not going to change anything with the American flag lettering, especially if you want to go into the police brutality part. I still don't really see sort of the connection with it just having it on the car, with the lettering. It's just, if they want to be a little bit more fancy and put the American flag there, that's fine.
right.
Good for you guys. Good for trying to step up your aesthetic game, I guess. Well, anyways, moving on now from police brutality and cars to Coachella. Weekend one of Coachella is over, but it definitely left many people amazed at the number of spectacular performances. It almost isn't Coachella without the surprise guests that performers bring along with them. The biggest guest reveal goes to DJ Snake, who brought out Cardi B and Selena Gomez. On the second day, artist J Balvin became the first artist to ever bring the genre of reggaeton to the Coachella stage. Not only did he play his biggest hits, he also made sure to include major classics from the genre. Ariana Grande closed off the weekend as she brought out NSYNC, Nicki Minaj, Maze, and P. Diddy to perform alongside her.
Businesswoman, reality star, and model Kim Kardashian West is surprising us all again. She is now studying to become a lawyer. Prior to the stream, she has had her own mobile game, a perfume line, and a reality TV show featuring herself and her family. This new career path has sparked controversy among the internet community. Many are criticizing her decision, saying things like stay in your lane or her privileged life and money helped her with law school. So what do you guys think about this with Kim Kardashian now trying to be a lawyer?
She posted on Instagram that privilege has nothing to do with this. And I love when the Kardashians love to talk about how they are not privileged or are self-made. You guys, come on. You guys gotta be, you can't be humble and brag about you're not privileged and you're self-made. Your family name gives you an up. You have all this below you, beneath you. You have so much money. There are so many people who grow up dreaming to be lawyers and don't have the money to go to law school. Loans are a thing, but those take forever to pay back.
Yeah.
Correct. And I think that's definitely one topic that we need to bring up. Her saying like she wasn't, accredited with all this privilege that she has. She definitely has. We've distinguished that. Moving on. I think her, though, it's very similar to Legally Blonde, which I love. We all love Legally Blonde. And it's almost the same storyline where Pretty Woman, none of us really think that she could go on and do these amazing things. And then she ended up proving us all wrong. And so I want to have the benefit of a doubt with her because she posted on Instagram, listing that she's already been working towards this for at least a year. She has to keep going on for more years. She's taking weekly or monthly like tests and quizzes and stuff. And so I don't think there's any lack of kind of effort being put in towards this. And I really think we need to like support her on this. If she's going to make such a big statement like this, we all have to, I feel like, root her on if she really wants this to be accomplished.
Well, here's the thing. I will never push down or degrade anyone for trying to reach higher or to, make their dream come true, especially with, just as a student who's trying to aspire that a career in journalism. The same thing goes with her. She wants to be a lawyer and she's trying. All good reason for her to be supported by her fans or by anyone. It's just the point where you said, don't go in and say that you're, that you're privileged or that your money didn't get you to sort of where you're at. She posted, a sort of just explaining like through the process of it and how she had two other people mentoring her as well as, they have been helping her like their personal, it's sort of like their personal assistant. And so obviously, how do you get that? With money. You need a personal assistant to help you and study. So, I mean, yeah, of course I support you. I mean, I'll support you, but just don't say that.
Right. And I'm on the same page as you. I would never want to degrade somebody or pull them down for what they're trying to do. We all have dreams and things that we want to do, but don't come out and say that you're getting where you are when you're not privileged. You clearly are, and you have a lot to do, so get going. And honestly, talk about it, be open about it, but don't try to undermine everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, hopefully in 2020 we can hire her skills and all of her legal knowledge for whatever needs we might have.
Guess we'll find out.
Guess we'll find out.
And with that, that's all the time that we have today on The Report. Have a great week, everyone, and stay tuned for more news, views, and info. I'm Aisling Enslin.
I'm Ryan Matthey.
And I'm Regina Urrieta. Stay fresh, Fullerton.